All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe and Anthony, the Art of Real Estate Part 2. In this episode, we have special guest Anthony Pinto. We cover topics that ranges from buying and selling homes, real estate investing, reality TV shows, and the competitiveness of the real estate industry. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Caterina Fake Jane Goodall. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, Anthony, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me back. For
sure, man. All right, so we had you featured on episode 108, which we just got done doing the math. It's a little over 3 years. It's like July or around that area, and we had you on for the Art of Real Estate. So we are now doing a follow-up, calling it Part 2. For those who did not get a chance to listen, make sure you tune into episode 108. And Anthony, let us know who you are and what you do.
Thank you, and thanks for having me back. So I'm Anthony Paul Pinto. I am a realtor. I've been a realtor for 15 years. Live in the Bucks County area. I'm a realtor with Remax Properties in Newtown. So that's changed in 3 years. We're just talking off air about what's changed in the past 3 years. So other than that, the world changed and a beard. I got a beard, so that was about it. So I learned how to grow a beard. So I was copying Gabe. So
absolutely. All right. So let's take it back. Just revisit really quick how you got started in real estate, and then fast forward to where you are today.
Yeah. So I grew up. Obviously, we grew up in Bristol. My grandfather was a broker. He had his own real estate office, Marucci Realty. So we grew up doing that, learning about real estate. You know, Grandpa's apartments. He was rehabbing properties. It wasn't even called flipping back then. He taught me what, we knew he had rentals, learned how to be a landlord. We used to clean out Grandpa's apartments. I grew up, I have a lot of cousins that do real estate. I have, my brother-in-law does real estate. So I kind of was like second nature. So I've been doing it for about 15 years. So I have like badges. I survived the market crash. I survived the pandemic, so it's, like little scars along the way. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. So let's talk about, right. So 2018 to 2021, a lot has changed. A lot would have normally changed, but because of in 3 years, I should say, but because of our current circumstances, a lot has changed. So can you describe kind of the vast, changes, maybe just in real estate, in personal life, that you have to go through and overcome to kind of even just maintain?
I mean, I don't think any realtor wants to relive 2020 again. It was, everyone knows, everyone has their own stories of how crazy it was. From 2018, we saw a trend. 2018, 2019, less homes keep coming on the market. Prices started to increase a little bit. Then when the pandemic hit, we were shut down. Pennsylvania was shut down for a couple months. We weren't legally allowed to practice real estate because obviously no one wanted us in their homes with COVID. If you look back at your timeline, you could see the joking. We didn't know what it was. If you we're like, oh, wear a mask, we'll just do this, that's fine. It's no big deal. But then we got shut down. Then it was just what are we going to do? So for a couple months, I was out of work, and, I couldn't show any houses. No one was putting their houses on the market. No one really wanted to go look at houses. And I wasn't collecting unemployment either. Fortunately or unfortunately, I make too much. So I didn't get any stimulus either. And that's not a boo-hoo type of thing. I think the money went where it should have went, but it was still stressful. So I got into building, I was going crazy. I was building flower beds and all this, I grabbed pallets and just, what else are you gonna do? I mean, how many times are you gonna watch, Netflix? Watch stupid shows on like Ozark and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, you had to do with so much. And then when the pandemic finally lessened and Governor Wolf finally, after debates and debates and debates, we had a whole new world. We had COVID regulations, tracing, all this stuff. We had to ask people, we had to sign this form, sign this, go into this. No more open houses, which was kind of a blessing. I like that. Like there's, no one really wants to host open houses on Sundays, but then it was just crazy. Then the market was insane. This past year, where people were just, it was overpaying left and right, and it was just a crazy market. And then now it's going to a different market, so it's like an emotional roller coaster.
So did this year make up for last year?
Yeah. So last year, I mean, I like I was telling you guys off air, like I had to homeschool. So I've I'm a dad of 2 kids. That was fun homeschooling. So like everyone else was doing well, but I had to do that, and I don't regret it. It was what's the choice? Like you got to homeschool my kids, or do real estate, make money. So it was tough. Like I lost half my business. I was like pretty bad. Like I think this is the first year, this past year, that I'm actually getting a tax return. So
Yeah.
I mean, my accountant's like, do you get money back? I'm like, what's that? I'm usually at the O every year. So then this year was just crazy. I mean, people were put offers. You put stuff on the market in one day, it's gone. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I know on one of my listings, I didn't put a description on the house. I like it didn't load. Like I wrote the description. I hate writing descriptions. Most of the time, it's just like, yeah, the house is this. It's got 4 walls. I'm not that good with that. But it would not load, and it sold. And like my seller's like, you didn't write a description. I'm like, no, I did. It just never, it never loaded. So, and I'm like, so I literally sold the house with no description. I mean, we were selling houses sight unseen. People just didn't care. They just didn't want to be home. And we were getting an influx from New York and New Jersey. Like no one wanted to be in the city of New York. No one wanted to be in North Jersey. And it was just, and everyone's coming to Bucks County, which was good and bad at the same time. You can just take the train or just work from home. I mean, work from home was just, taking Zoom calls like this, and the kids are fighting in the backgrounds. I mean, Jimmy, you know how it is. It was tough. So I think we're hoping it goes back, but we're all scared. I think a lot of us are scared that to get back to a shutdown again. Like, we made our money in the summertime, but September, October, November, like if we get shut down again, I don't know. I'm gonna build you guys more flower beds or something. I don't know, something.
So in your opinion, what was the hardest part?
It was different. It was, I mean, listing wise was easy. I mean, as long as you had because I was surprised. I'm like, people were telling me, should we list it for that much? I'm like, no, it's a little too high. And then someone bids $100,000 over that. Like, so then I look like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. 15 years of the business, and you don't know how to price a house because you just sold it for $100,000 more than you should. But then at the same time, as my buyers, like I told my clients, like, look, you're overpaying. You're just overpaying. I mean, people are just waiving inspections, appraisal. I heard if we lost on a deal one time, we went $100,000 over asking, lost. Waived inspections, waived appraisals, everything, and lost. And I told my client, like, what else do you want me to do? I mean, do you want to give up your firstborn? Like, I heard people were offering to pay for college for some of the students, like pay the lease on a Mercedes in the driveway, stuff like that. Like, it was just ridiculous. Or we lost one because the older couple that was leaving wanted to rent it back until their house was built. So the people that won it overpaid for the house and let the older couple live rent free in their house for 6 months. till their new house was built. So, I mean, just bending over backwards for everything, which, as someone that likes to negotiate, it's just like, what do you say? Like, you tell your clients, like, hey, hopefully it doesn't hurt too bad. But it's exactly what it is. But as a listing agent, you look like a genius. You sell houses for $500,000, ridiculous. You see houses in like Levittown, like some houses like were going for over $500,000. They're still going for over $500,000 for Levittown. It was just ridiculous. And then a lot of people just waited. Like I know a lot of our friends just sold their houses and they're living with parents. They're just living with all their in-laws, going insane, waiting for this market to change. They're just going to wait. Like, hey, you know what? You guys have fun. I'm not paying $100,000 over for a house that has, is missing windows. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, there was stuff. I mean, some of these houses they were throwing everything on the market. Like, I just looked at a house the other day in Yardley, and this house needs $200,000 worth of work, and it's priced at $500,000.
Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a mansion. It's in an older neighborhood in Yardley. It's not like got sidewalks or anything. It's in the older neighborhood. And I'm like, okay, someone's going to pay for that too. That's the sad part. Someone from New York that's paying $16,000 in taxes for 900 square foot, townhome or whatever, apartment or a shoebox, they're going to pay it. And they'll travel. They'll take the train. They'll take whatever, and they'll live in Bucks County. And they'll complain about our pizza. I don't know.
So that's an interesting point, right? So like you said, there's an influx of a whole new demographic. So it's pushing the prices even higher. And everyone knows inner city folks are always overpaying no matter what. So in their mind, well, that ain't half bad, right? But to us, we're like, what is going on? What are we doing here?
Yeah, people in Jersey and New York are just like, you're paying $7,000 for taxes. That's nothing. And we're like, yeah, wait a minute. We're getting chest pains. Like, like that's not a big deal. I was talking to a couple of friends of mine that are realtors in New York. At one point, there was 16,000 empty apartments on the market in New York City. Like 16,000. I mean, we can't even think that. Like, I mean,
no.
We see at least what we only. Then like listings for sale in across the country. They took from 2007 when the market was booming, and there was 4 million houses on the market at that time, and then this past year, same time, there was 1 million. So across the country, 3 million houses less. So a shortage. So I mean, fighting for houses was just ridiculous, and there was like lines out the door. I mean, you saw it. Everyone on Facebook, like or whatever, hey, I just had a 10-hour. I'm in a little group of realtors. We bust chops at people like don't post you sold it for over asking 10 offers. That's nothing. Everyone does that. You're not special. Yeah. Like but the 100,000 one was bad. Like when my client, he didn't care. He's like, listen, I'm gonna go $100,000 over. I'm like, okay, please sign here that you don't sue me later on. That you did this. And then he lost.
When someone says something that like outlandish, right? What is your response back? Are you actually saying? Do you hear yourself, or are you like coaching them through, or are you just kind of like, okay, whatever?
So I can't speak from other realtors, but like I say it, yeah. Like I know there's people out there that are like, yeah, sign here. I've got a car payment due. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, or like I've got rent due. Like I'm not, rich or anything like that, but like I do okay. I mean, I don't need to push someone in. Like we can listen, you don't have to pay $100,000. We'll go see another house. You know what I mean? Don't push them into something. But a lot of people that waive inspections, which I think is crazy. I tell all my clients, listen, you're silly to do that. Don't waive inspections. But like our office makes you sign a form. Like, please sign here that you understand you're waiving inspections, you're waiving appraisal. And for those that don't know, inspections is when you hire a licensed inspector to go through the property, go through everything, and hire other licensed contractors to go take a look at stuff that are big ticket items. And then the appraisal is with the bank issues. So the bank wants you to buy a house. They want to lend you the money, but they're not going to lend you $500,000 for a one-bedroom in Croydon. Do you know what I mean? So they want the appraised value. So people were paying over appraised value, like $50,000 over appraised value, and I think it was foolish. And I told a lot of people, like, look, if you're in this house for less than 5 years, you're overpaying. Don't look at the numbers. Just suck it up and take it. But if you're in the house long term for 20 years, then you're okay. Yeah, you might have overpaid right now. The market might dip. You might not have the same value. You're probably going to lose money. Like if you like, let's say if someone refis in 2 years and they just paid $600,000 for a house and it's worth $550, they're gonna, they think they lost 50 grand, but it's like your 401k. Don't look at it. But if you're in there for 20 years, who the hell cares? No one's gonna remember, right. what their house was worth the second year they were in their house of 20 years.
So what do you think the effects of this will be within the next 2 to 3 years? So,
I mean, I'm a pessimist. I think that the moratorium, like the people that were taking the forbearance on their mortgages. So a lot of people were taking the forbearance on the mortgages, and they were coming due. And I think they're going to be coming due soon. Now, some mortgage companies, I'm explaining to the audience, like, a mortgage company says their forbearance, okay, don't pay your mortgage this month or next month because of COVID. We'll put it on to the end of the mortgage at the end of your 30 years. It'll be okay. But some of the mortgage companies aren't. Some of them are saying, hey, it's due. Or a lot of these landlords, like I'm a landlord, I got lucky. My tenants didn't pay for April, which was fine. I mean, it hurt. But I think right during pandemic time, like I just said, listen, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Just get back to me, in May, and then we'll set back up. So I gave them the month off, of rent, which I'm not a charity case, but it was just the right thing to do. But a lot of these tenants haven't been paying, and this moratorium is coming. If they just extended it where you can't evict anyone right now. So which is killing a lot of landlords. So they're losing money. So by the time comes where a lot of these landlords have mortgages on these properties, they're going to have to kick these tenants out when the time comes. The properties will probably not be in great condition. And then they're just going to sell it for a loss. So all these houses are going to hit short sale. Where a short sale is when like the house is worth less than what the mortgage is, and it's going to start coming up as comps. So if that house goes under contract next to your house that you're putting up for sale, and they're 50,000 less, and you have to use that as a comp, the appraiser, a comparable property, the appraiser's going to be like, sorry, I got to use the house next door to you. It could be bad. Now, it's nothing like 2007, 2008, where people were just, signing their life away, and they're like, oh, you got a pulse, you can get a mortgage. You can walk and chew gum, you can get a mortgage. It's bad. I think it's going to be a different type of bad. I think if the moratorium actually happens and people start getting evicted, there's going to be a ton of people like, hey, I need to go somewhere, I need to do this. And then people are going to start like outbidding each other on apartments on some of them. You know what I mean? The landlords that have no mortgages, they're going to be like, I'll pay $2,000 for that one bedroom in Croydon. You know what I mean? Which is insane. But I think that's where it's going to be, because everything else is just going to be crap. And, but I'm a pessimist. Everyone else is saying, it'll be fine. We'll be okay. We'll get through this. But I'd rather be pessimistic and just say, hey, listen, I'm wrong. And we live through this and we're great. But if we don't, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I'm still going to be,
So in saying that, though, what is your prediction? What's happening to the people that get evicted? What do you think happens in that case? Like, I know you're speaking on the ownership side of things, but what about the reverse?
I think it's going to be tough. Like, I think if you're a tenant, do whatever you can to pay your landlord. Try to stay into the property, because I do think there's going to be a stigma of, wait a minute. So, you didn't pay your rent for the last, because I think every landlord's going to start calling around, be like, hey, if we go through this shutdown again, I don't want to have this same tenant that was, never paid me any money, because a lot of these people didn't have to pay. They were collecting stimulus and they weren't, hey, you can't evict me. So they're professional tenants, like, so, I mean, I think that's going to hurt some people.
So you think it's going to be like a no-fly list?
You know what? There are lists like that out there. So there,
wow.
we do credit checks. A lot of people do credit checks, background checks, criminal background checks. And, I also do landlord, like referrals. Now, those aren't always good because if I want to get rid of a tenant, I'm like, yeah, he was great. Good luck. Have fun with him. I had a couple of those. But I also think that, like, if they see that, if you're going to see on the credit, and I think it's the same thing with people that went through the forbearance, if they see that little word forbearance or eviction or anything like that during the pandemic and you ask the reasons why, I think they're going to pass on those people because there's going to be so many other people that might have been better tenants. You know what I mean? It might have, that'll overpay or do this or, I think it might be a mess. I mean, we'll see.
Do you think there's any upside to it? Is there any benefit?
I think that prices are going to start to come down on houses.
Yeah.
I think that, and you start to see it now. I think houses are going to start creeping down, not to a point where it's like rock bottom, but it's just a little bit more manageable. Rates are still going to be low. I think they're going to stay low just to help out the people that were evicted or the ones that, like, the landlords want to sell. So that's another thing. So, like, some of these tenants are actually probably good tenants, but the landlord wants to sell and they can't get these people out, or, like, most people want to buy the house, don't want the tenant in there, and you can't kick these people out. So it's going to be tough, but I think that's why they're going to keep rates low to make sure that, hey, because, I mean, I don't know. My first rate was 8.5 on my first mortgage, that was high, but it was like, all right, it was a deal then. Now everyone's complaining like, oh, it's only 3%. Like, if it stays to 3 and 4, I think we'll be okay. But if it creeps up to 5 and 6, I don't know. It's such a wishy-wash. You don't know where the next paycheck's coming. You don't know. I hate to be a pessimist about it, but, like, it's going to be crazy. But I think the ones that did wait it out, that have money, that have good credit, that have a good interest rate, are going to be able to do the house for a better price. And then they might be able to maximize the house. They might not pay $500,000 for that, that needs $200,000 worth of work, but that maybe the house turns into like $350,000. You know what I mean? It comes down in price because it needs everything, and then they put in $150,000, then it's worth $500,000, all done. So that might be a little bit better, and then less greedy, And of course, I think no matter what, they're going to blame us realtors. You're the ones that drove up all the prices. You're the ones that told your clients to bid $100,000. No, we didn't. Like, it was crazy. Could you imagine, Jimmy, like bidding $100,000 over? And losing.
It's just such a wild. I can't even fathom. Like, that's not even clicking.
I got a question. If they bid $100,000 over asking price, can they come back to you and say something? Like, can they sue you for anything or come at you?
Oh, you know what? Listen, I think that's going to happen. I do. I really think. I like another buddy of mine. We were talking about this. We're gonna. There's no referrals coming this year. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna refer me this year. You should.
Yeah, right.
Listen, I think even if we have them sign the paperwork, hey, you waived inspections, hey, you bid this price, hey, here's your closing cost estimate, here's where you come right there, here's where you're waiving, appraisal, here's where you're going over appraisal. I still think you're gonna get sued. You know what I mean? Because I think that they feel that, all we do is make money. That's all we do. We don't, we drive, flashy cars and have billboards on 95, and And you know what I mean? So that's all. I think that's what it is. So they're going to sue us, and they're like, "Oh, insurance will take care of it. You're okay." But I do think like a lot. I think less referrals are going to be coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that guy, yeah, he made me buy during the pandemic, and you know, I hate this house. You know, and or like 3 years, 4 years down the line, they call us and like if they have to move, and the prices are not where they want to be. You know, like, hey, we bought it last year for 2 years ago for $350. Now you're selling it for $250. Thanks a lot, dude. Like, or you're not
so
even
what happens with that? What happens with that now? Like, say, like you said, the people they thought they bought a house for 300, now it's only worth 200. What happens with that? That's all lost equity on the house, right? That's all lost.
I say either
well.
People are going to stay in their houses longer just to try to recover, or just take it, and it sucks. You know what I mean? And like I like
it's situational though. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think evaluation. Like some people need to get out, and they'll just take the loss. Okay, let's just pay down the mortgages. It's just even if they don't walk away with any profit from it, let's just shut up and take it. Or they stay in the house for longer, and then they stay. So then that means there's less inventory there. So it's like a double-edged sword. So you have people that stay in their houses for longer than the average, which is 5 to 7 years. So let's say they stay in 10. Let's say they stay in it for 12 years. So it's less houses on the market, which could drive the price up, which is true. Or there's less inventory. You never know. Or let's say they sell it and they put a lot of houses on the market at lower value. And then these short sales come in. Now, a short sale, the banks say, hey, we want 300. That's what the mortgage is for, and it's only worth. And now you're selling it for 250. That means that house can stay on the market for longer because the banks have no time frame. So it could be a mess. I mean, I know this is not the warm and fuzzy episode. It's gonna be tough. I mean, like a buddy of mine just bought a house in Yardley, and like, yeah, he paid a pretty penny. But that's his forever home. He knows that. He knows like whatever it is, you're here. I mean, it was a high number, but at the same time, that's it. You know what I mean? Now, I do think it also is experience. So there's going to be a lot of, like you saw this, everyone in the world became a realtor. You know what I mean? Like, this past year, they just, hey, I got my license during the pandemic. I got, why the hell not? You know what I mean? And so a lot of these ones don't know any better. Like I did. Like when in 2007, I got my license in 06, and I was in 07. Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? It was the craziest market ever. I'm just writing, I'm writing deals on the hood of my car. I'm like, this is awesome. This is amazing. It's like, it's like the movies. And then, and then 08 happens. Then we got hit in the face with a shovel, but a lot of people jumped out of the business. So. There's going to be a lot less people, they're going to be doing something else. They're doing like, I don't know, Etsy or whatever.
So he said Etsy. So do you think the move was holding off or selling your property when it was at this high and kind of moving to or living with family for a short period of time? If someone had the ability to do all of that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
do you think
a
that
friend
was the
of
move,
ours,
or is it so unpredictable that's probably not smart either?
A couple people did it. A couple friends of ours did. Like, was it the right move? It's the right move for them. You never know. Other people were just like, look, hey, we're gonna pay. We're gonna pay through the nose on these houses because guess what? I'm never moving again. I'm not moving these boxes again. I saw a house in Lower Orchard, and I think it was like $300,000, and this house was burnt down years prior, and then the guy got the money for it. The contractor did it himself. It was terrible, and I went to the agent who's been doing real estate forever. I said, listen, I'll offer you $190,000 cash, just as is. We'll just whatever. She's like, I've got over asking. I'm like, I'm done. Forget it. Like, I don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean? If people are paying $300,000 for total garbage, But like, if people are paying that much money, if there are people are paying that much money for it, it's just ridiculous. And guess what? That person's not going to make money on that house. There's no way. I think it's just ridiculous.
So what's the good that came out of it?
Good?
Honestly, like, what do you think good came out of it?
The good is a lot of people got their homes that they survived pandemic. A lot of people went through pandemic. They got their game plan going. They were like, I don't want to be in this apartment anymore. I don't want to be in this place anymore. I need a house. I think that's a good thing. I really do think, like, buying the house or buying the property that they love, great. You know what I mean? They lived through it. They lived with whoever, they were stuck in the house with whomever. That was tough during pandemic. And so if they can deal with that, we can deal with anything. A lot of people got good houses, but I do think it's not all sunshines and rainbows. I hopefully that every one of them makes money in the long run. I don't think it'll happen. I think at the long run, I think people buying houses is still like a good investment over time. I mean, prices of rents are insane. Like if you see it, around town, they're getting what, $1,500, $1,600, $2,000 a month for 2 bedrooms. Like, that's a mortgage, and with the rates right now, why not? So I think that's a lot of people, a lot of renters did say, hey, look, rates are historically low. We fixed our credit during the pandemic. We used the extra money from the stimulus, hopefully, and that they bought houses with it, and they fixed it. So that hopefully that helped.
Did you come across greed on a selling side?
Yeah, there was greed left and right. Last year, like, people were putting houses up on the market, which were just insane. There were certain groups of flippers that just came out of the bunch that are just, I don't want to speak on who it is or anything like that, but like, what they were doing. They were putting houses up for, like, why would you ever pay that much for this house, for this area, this part? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and people just wanted brand new. They wanted new construction. They wanted this, and it's just like, really? But at the same time, I think it was more of the flippers that had projects or put stuff up that, they got lucky because the price of materials, but then the price of materials went up. So it was a very small margin. Like, we had a project. We bought it for $80,000 during the pandemic. Bought it in March. I think I texted the agent. It was listed for $100,000, and it texted her. I was like, "Listen, I'll give you 80 right now." She's like, "Done." I'm like, "Crap, where am I gonna get the 80,000 from?" Like, you know what I mean? So my client was like, "All right, so I guess we got to do it." So we delayed that, and then we didn't touch it for a year because we had other projects to do. And then I think we sold it this March for $110,000.
Wow.
Like that. Wow. It's great. And we're not too greedy because, listen, we sold it to another contractor that has that means of the materials and has the stuff that can do that. But, like, you get paid $30,000 for just holding onto a house for a year. Like, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, that's greed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were looking around your house. You're like, maybe we should just sell. You were. You're like,
everyone. I think just for the craziness of everything, discussions have come up. But in my mind, like, what I always would say was like, yeah, we're selling. We can make bank on ours, but then we're going to be paying overpriced on something else.
Exactly. Where the hell are you going to go?
I'm not doing that, and I'm not putting someone else in a jam just because I was trying to make an extra whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just not where my heart is. But I'm sure somebody did it.
I had 3 different clients. One, it was brought up to him to do it. Like, hey, come here, make your money, sell this. You're never going to get this number again. You know what I mean? You're never. And like, even the ones that I've just sold, like, I'm never going to get these numbers again. Like,
so what's your advice for someone who's selling in this market and wants to for good reason?
No, I don't have I have like one listing right. Everything else is under contract. It was insane. Like, so everything we put up was under contract, and stuff that you're like, okay, let's just try it at this price. Let's just, and again, I'm like a lot of my sellers are like, isn't this awesome? Isn't this great? And I'm like, just shut up and take this offer. Like, you know what I mean? Telling these people, like, or can we get more? Like, I had one seller ask, can we get more? I said, I don't know, possibly, but like, I mean, I think you should just shut up and take it now and just get out. But I mean, a lot of these people, I would tell them, I know it's hard because I tell my clients, like, I have 3 clients right now. We're actively looking for houses, and we can't find a damn thing. I mean, the inventory is so low, and I'm just like, you gotta wait. But now they're like, do we wait, or do we just get out and just pay through the nose? And it's each situation is different. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be a tough one. I really do, and I think it's not a great time for investors. I just think the margins, like, I know people that are buying like properties and duplexes and stuff like that, which is usually a great thing to do. I just don't think the numbers are there right now. Even at the exorbitant rent prices, I still think it, over time, you have a $2,000 a month rent, but in a couple of years, that rental might be $1,000 again, and then you're losing. So, I mean, I think the best thing, whoever they choose, get an experienced agent. There's obviously this is, I don't want to just pitch myself. There's a lot of good agents out there, and I'm friends with a lot of them. And thankfully, like, I know they'll do a good job. I know they'll sell their house for honestly, and for a lot of money. It's gonna be. I can't wait to see if I get invited back in 3 years from there. Like, what the market's gonna be. Like, I'm gonna be like full gray.
So last time we talked, the reality TV shows out at the time where it was just kind of like the normal thing. It was we're kind of used to them, and
they were fun. Yeah.
So in the last 3 years, and then moving forward, where do you expect for them to go? Is it kind of the same thing? Or are they going to kind of highlight this booming market, you think?
I don't know if you watch, we just watched $1 Million Listing, and it was the pandemic episode when New York was, and I was getting like emotional. Like, I got upset. Like, I remember what, we went through. Like, I remember when we got shut down, a lot of realtor friends of ours, like, we're all on Zoom. Like, we were doing like virtual happy hours, like, just, kicking them back and like just doing stupid stuff just to like keep sane. And it was weird seeing these celebrities go through what that we went through. It was kind of good and bad, like, see, that's what, of course they're in like the Hamptons, like, poor you in your helicopter path. But but it was definitely, it was weird too, because it was like, it was interesting watching. If go on $1 Million and go to episode, I think it's episode 4 or whatever. Like, right before New York gets shut down, like, how close people are talking to each other and how people are taking the because we were all there, like, not taking the coronavirus seriously whatsoever. It was very cringeworthy. And then, like, what they had to do to adapt. I think the next couple of years is going to be interesting. Hopefully, if the Delta variant comes, like, if we survive this and Lambda and all the other variants that come out, I think it's going to be a different type of showcase. But yeah, I think prices are going to go up. I think that it's going to be crazier numbers and more exorbitant, or it's going to be just weird. Like, you're going to have like these panic rooms, like, they're going to be featured on the shows now, or like, this is the biological hazard zone. Like, this, your house has this, or like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I always wanted to see shows like that where it's like, oh, this has a panic room, or like, in The Purge, that has all, or here's all the wood, where they're selling houses that have like
A quarantine room.
lockdown. Yeah, the quarantine room, and like this house locks down, and hyperbaric chambers or some stuff like that. It'd be interesting. Like I think it'd be interesting. I don't know. I probably wouldn't write a good description on it, but that's for damn sure. But I had to pay someone for that. So I think it's gonna be an interesting time. I think that the only thing that I think is weird with these shows, the way our generation is, and this is podcast, they're going to be too long. They're just going to want 10-minute shows, like, or all at once, streaming. Yeah, like TikTok. Yeah, it's going to be like TikTok real estate. That's another thing. I didn't get into that, and I don't know if I missed the boat, but I was trying to do it. I was trying to do something during the pandemic. I was trying to do anything. I was doing videos on YouTube. I don't know if you saw those. They're pretty terrible. I was highlighting local businesses. I was trying to do something to get my name out there. But a lot of realtors adapted to like the TikTok and the Snapchats and all that stuff. And I'm not that creative. But
and you took it old school. You went to YouTube.
I went to YouTube. I didn't know anybody. I thought, I highlighted local businesses. So, hey, they needed our help. So I figured, hey, that'll help out too. But there's a lot of good realtors out there that do the TikToks and that are killing it. I don't know.
So you grew up in real estate and
sure.
The techniques for advertising a home were quite different. I think even back then you even had newspaper ads.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit about the difference now. People are literally using their social media to post their listings, which is way different than
I remember like when I first got into real estate. I just found the other day. I just found it. The little, remember like when you got the Courier Times, like you could see who bought what and the prices.
Yes.
Like they don't even have it. It was in public records. I found one of mine where like I bought a house and it was
wasn't
mine.
it like the midweek?
No, it was the Courier Times. It was the Sunday paper. It was the Sunday one, and like I know a friend of mine in my office. She had Keith's Corner. She had like a little like ask section on the front page of that. But like I found my little blurb of like, and like my dad laminated it. You know what I mean? Like it was so proud. Like I was in the paper. And he like advertised, but like I still get hit up for stuff like print.
I don't know if it was you or not, but it's such
Probably
a funny.
me.
You had an advertisement on like an Acme shopping cart, and it was like on the front or
oh my God, yeah. I did all that stuff. So realtors are the most sought after for advertising. Yeah. So we're solicited the most. We get calls every day. Hey, do you want to be on someone's underwear? And when they bend over, you can advertise it, whatever. So I was in the ShopRite in Fairless Hills. I paid like ridiculous amount of money too. I was in the one in Warminster, the ShopRite in Warminster on their cards, and people like started like tagging it, like putting the mustache because I was clean shaven back then, and like so, and I complained about it. So like, all right, we'll put you at the ShopRite in Fairless Hills. It's like $1,500, and I was just like, it was a lot of money, but I was like, okay. But then no one else was on it for like years. Like, cause like no one else was a sucker to do that. So, and I was like, all right. So I got my money's worth on that. I did that. Remember I had that one billboard on Mill Street, the big one, the gigantic one.
Yeah.
And I got fined for that. That got taken down. So I don't even know what's going to happen. Like I know virtual tours were a huge thing this past year. So everyone was doing the Matterport cameras, the new camera. You were looking. They were like, you could just walk through the house. I don't know. I think people are going to be doing like virtual reality into people's houses. So like you just like walk in. I don't know. That might be the newest thing.
Well, so. I mean, with there a lot of creativity has come out of all of this. And then there's, rules and guidelines that we have to abide by because of the pandemic. We had a home inspector as a guest, and he was talking about how many different things he has to do just to inspect the home. And then he's like, typically you would walk with a client. He's like, we couldn't walk with the client. We'd give them reports, and then we had to type it up. He's like, there's a million additional steps. So they got challenged. So I'm sure everyone in that, and that's just the inspector, right? There's a million other things that are going on that you have to switch up your process. And he got the same thing with him, though. He got creative with a lot of this stuff. So, while he was going through, because he's by himself, he started making videos and what to look for when you're inspecting the home. So it was kind of cool to see people get creative with those things.
Yeah, the home inspectors, I mean, they got hit hard too because everyone waived inspections. I felt bad.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just, were, hey, I'll do an inspection for you. But all the sellers were loving it. They like, no inspections, no appraisal, just take my house as is.
Yeah.
And
so to before we close out here, if you could leave one tip to our listeners that would help them make better real estate investments, what would it be?
Buy low, sell high. No, that's
very original on that one.
The original location. I think we're in a time right now more than ever that people do their research. They can get so much more information on a house. Like I know some of my clients know the backstories on the sellers before I do. Wow. And they know everything about I looked at this woman's Facebook page and I know that a tree hit her house 3 years ago. So that should be a new roof. So I think there's a lot more information out there. And I think that, it's true. I mean, I just hope that people are still get to the point where they still do their research, calculate it. Because I joked around about this the other day. All these people are doing these stocks, these meme stocks and all that stuff. And they'll just buy whatever because they see it on Facebook or Reddit or whatever. They'll research 3 hours how to smoke a brisket, but spend 5 minutes on a stock. I hope they'll do their research on the house, the realtor, the location. And, here's the thing. If hopefully, if they don't do the research on the realtor and the realtor sucks, at least if they did the research on the house and the area and on the schools and all the other stuff, that helps. So if they do the research and they did the research on the realtor and they didn't do any research on anything else, hopefully that helps them too.
Now, all right. So if folks wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect with you? Your Instagram handle, websites, whatever.
I think, oh my God, yeah. So last time it was Game of Homes, so it's no longer Game of Homes because the show's over. So I changed that up. So website's buckscoliving.com. All my handles are Anthony P. Pinto. So everything you can find on there. I mean, my telephone number is 215-499-4235. If you want to send your hate mail to me, you can do that. And then, my email is apinto@bucksremax.com. Yeah, so I'm at Remax now. No longer the gold jacket at Century 21.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, thank you. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. We like to wrap things up with quotes, and the first one is by Caterina Fake. The most successful entrepreneurs I know are optimistic. It's part of the job description. The second one by Jane Goodall. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what that difference you want to make. The Art of Real Estate Part 2. In this episode, we have special guest Anthony Pinto. We covered topics that ranges from buying and selling homes, real estate investing, reality TV shows, and the competitiveness of the real estate industry. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Caterina Fake and Jane Goodall. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success, available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.